so I'll be quick. One, who am I? I am a lifelong Oklahoman, multiple generations. Went to OU graduate, newspaper reporter. Been in business for 30 years, have my own consulting firm now. And I have a passion for this city and this state. I'm a mom, and my mom and dad, right here, we're lifelong Oklahomans. Why am I running for office? It certainly isn't because I always wanted to be an elected official. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I was in business. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to earn a living. I wanted to make our communities better through business, success, and economic development. However, I am angry because our legislative leadership seems to be hell-bent on greasing the skids to getting this state to be 50th in everything. And that has got to change. I am angry as a citizen. I am angry as a mother. I'm angry as a business person because from a business perspective, we don't have an educated workforce. We don't have a workforce pipeline. We're not going to be able to keep these jobs here. We're not going to be able to have jobs that pay at an average annual wage that's greater than what we've got now because we don't have an educated workforce, and we're not going to have an educated workforce if we don't start investing appropriately in our public education system, and if we don't start paying our teachers better than our 5 surrounding states. We are $5,000 below teacher pay, which is insane to me. No wonder we've got a workforce pipeline crisis in our teacher system. That's insane. They're having to spend their own money to buy supplies. You just read recently, they don't have money to buy new textbooks. The whole thing is ludicrous. So if you're not investing in education, I don't care if you're a business person, I don't care if you are a government official, I don't care if you're a retired person, whatever, our entire future rests on whether or not we have an educated population. That's just number one. 2, criminal justice reform. Hello.
Yeah.
We incarcerate women 2 times greater than the national, at 2 times greater than the national average. What happens? Now, it's not just women, but let's talk about women specifically in terms of incarceration. 2 times greater than the national average. What happens to women when we put them in prison? What about the children? So we've got, as a society, we take that expense, we take on that social challenge, and it is exponentially spread in terms of our financial ability to fund all of that. So when we're funding and investing in imprisoning people that are nonviolent offenders, and over 74% of the women we incarcerate are nonviolent offenders, likely with children. But yet we're willing to invest $44 a day to imprison them, take care of their kids, and then when they get out, if they haven't gained some additional skills from their violent partners in prison, then we give them a $50 bus ticket. They've likely, statistically, got $6,000 in debt and nowhere to live. So what do you think is going to happen? How smart is that? We have got to be smarter on crime, and if we reduce the threshold for putting people in prison, invest in alternative court systems that still hold people accountable for what they've done. I'm not suggesting that we not. There are better, smarter ways to do that. And then taking that money and investing it in making sure that our kids have the skills to be successful in life and be successful, productive citizens. I mean, that's what's got me up in arms. So, then there's economic development. Economic development, I worked at the Commerce Department under Kathy Tuttle. I know what it takes to bring big jobs, nice paying jobs to this state. I was on the team that helped recruit Boeing here, and as a result of that, we've got thousands of high-paying engineering jobs. Dell, same thing, and I have worked on the Economic Development Commission for the city of Tulsa, attempting to do the same thing at a city level. So I know what we're doing as a state currently, what our legislature is, well, what they're doing and what, frankly, they're not doing, that we are not doing what it takes to bring business here. I can tell you the first question a business asks when they want to come into this state, they say, what kind of public education system do you have? What kind of educated workforce do you have? And we cannot honestly say that we do a good job at that. We have a serious workforce pipeline problem right now. Serious workforce pipeline problem. And if you're not educating your citizens to be able to take jobs that businesses have and that businesses need to fill, do you think those businesses are going to hang around here just because they like the weather? No, they are not. And we are not going to be successful economically. I want my son to be able to come back here from Dallas and get a good job. I want my kids to want to be here and not be embarrassed about what their legislature is doing. So, I mean, those are the things that are making me crazy, and the reason why I've decided, against the better judgment of many of my friends, that I am going to step up. I'm going to get out there and I am going to do what I can, because I just felt like when I was asked to do this, when I was asked to run, it took me 3 months to make a decision, hand-wringing, due diligence. I couldn't look away. I could not continue to look away and be really concerned that this critical seat is going to get in the hands of someone that's going to continue to do what they're doing. It's insanity. It is just insanity. It is just drop dead stupid. And I cannot emphasize enough how much at a crisis point we are. So, why me specifically? Yeah, we're all angry. Yeah, we all think public education is great. Yeah, we all think we ought to be smarter on crime. Great. But why me specifically? Me specifically because I have 30 plus years of business experience, large multinational businesses, small businesses. I'm a tiny little consultant right now. I take out the trash, I make the coffee, I pay the bills, I do it all. So I understand every gamut, every element of the gamut here from a business perspective. I've dealt with people, CEOs at a senior level. I worked in economic development at the Commerce Department under Kathy Taylor in a senior position. So I've been involved in the community. I'm on the board of many nonprofit organizations around here because I care as a person what happens to our city and what happens to our state. I understand what it takes for this state to be economically viable. I understand what business incentives work. I understand how that all is negotiated. I understand what the ramifications are, and I understand how state governments work. So I think that in and of itself lends some degree of expertise that I would like to put forth in this particular position. So what I would do is address public education, not necessarily by just throwing money at it. You've got to be smart. We've got to start looking at teacher salary. We have to look at teacher policy so that we can reward the talented teachers that do stay. We've got to start looking at what can we do at a state level that frees up our local communities to be able to raise money for their own school districts. Right now, we can't do that. Let's say, for example, if Tulsa wanted to enact some sort of fundraising initiative, get the large foundations to give money to Tulsa Public Schools, we can't do that. I would work at the state level to make sure that Tulsa has the capability to fund its own public school system and not be held bound by decision makers at the state level. So that's, I think, a really important thing that we need to explore. Arkansas has done it, and I think we need to take a look at it too. We need to work on our workforce pipeline more, and we've got to be smarter about our incentives, not necessarily just handing, incentives out, but we've got to keep the ones that are working and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I understand intimately how all of those incentive programs work, and I know what they have to do to be held accountable, and that's not really happening today. So, I am, in closing, I will say that I am blessed to have the support of people that I really trust and have great respect for. That is Governor Brad Henry. I worked with Governor Henry when I was at the Commerce Department. Kathy Taylor, tough boss. My Lord, we did not sleep talking about getting email. I mean, we worked 24/7, but we got stuff done. And Kathy supports me. Sharon King Davis, same thing, positive, amazing, just a leader in our community that just is wonderful. Sharon King Davis supports me. Karen Key, most incredible county commissioner. She works across party lines. She's made things happen. Karen Keys knows me, supports me. So I feel like I've got the skills, I've got the passion, I've got enough anger, and I've got the support. And these people don't support me because I'm a political insider. Far from it. I've always said, and Kathy, I've known Kathy for 30 years. I told Kathy, I hate politics and I hate politicians. But here I am because I'm angry. There's something that needs to be done. I think I've got the skill set to do it. And I can't look away and let that seat go to another person who's going to continue to do what they have done. Because I'm not happy with the last in the country. Thank you.
Please stay around for a few questions. I know it's 1 o'clock, but if you can stay for just a little bit, we deserve to show respect to Melody. And Liz, what's your question?
Oh, right off the bat, let's start with education. It is very easy to talk about education and the sense of we're going to empower it for various manners. However, when you start to address the true issue of problems of the educational system, we look swiftly to income inequality. We look quickly to the fact that you have students who have to start working 15, 16 years old, 20 to 30 hours a week to help support their family. Why is that? Because we support below minimum wage jobs here in Oklahoma. And so it takes 3 people, 4 people within a family to try to support them without any benefits, with jobs that are basically gig jobs. They're the grunt jobs in the service industry where you never get 2 days off at the same time, and they change your schedule weekly. So when we start to address something much more basic, and that is the lack of decent jobs, and we can go off into the lack of unions. So until we deal with the systemic issue, it doesn't matter what we talk about with education.
Absolutely.
I will completely. And right now, we do happen to have a great employment pipeline because we use those for-profit prisons to help hold foods. To help hold food.
Was there a question there?
So, in laying that
Well, I agree with you. Amen, sister.
how are you going to address that at the legislative session?
Well, what's going on with public education right now, it's a confluence of problems, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just funding. For example, in Tulsa Public, 89% of the students in Tulsa Public School qualify for either free or reduced lunch.
Yeah, we're poor.
So you've got a huge issue of poverty. The parents move every 6 to 9 months. So they're moving, they're mobile. So you've got a poverty-stricken, mobile community. So you've got to address the kinds of things, you're exactly right. You've got to address the kinds of social things that address poverty in order to assist the public schools. But so I do agree with that. So that goes back to the social issues that we're talking about in terms of incarceration, in terms of making sure that people get good public education, making sure that we have the leadership to properly recruit and retain teaching talent. So those are the things, I think, and again, going back to funding and making sure that we free up the capability for each of these areas to bring additional funding to the table without being penalized at the state.
I have a question as well.
This lady and then you.
Thank you.
When you
And
were talking
Patricia
about
has
the
one, too.
criminal justice system and the women in particular.
Right.
It's my theory that part of the reason why we have such a problem, especially in the state of Oklahoma with prison, is because we've allowed corporates to come in and take over
Right.
the prison system.
Right.
Amen.
So there's no incentive to get them out of prison.
Right.
So the question is also with women, the majority of the reason why they're there is because of drugs.
Right.
And a lot of times it's because they're mules or whatever and they're
Yes.
addicted. So now there's floating around, I understand anyway, through ALEC, that we're going to allow corporations to come in and to do rehab things. And the state might, actually take some of our money and do that. Where's the incentive then to allow that person to get off drugs, become productive, if we allow corporations to take over that segment too, and then there's just a revolving door of, okay, you're healed and now come back later when you get strung out again. So it all goes together. It all goes together, the drug thing does.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, most of, whether men or women, most nonviolent offenders, it's associated with drugs. The other thing too is we historically have had insanely low thresholds for being thrown in prison and labeled a felon. So, those are the things, they're slowly changing right now. We're kind of inching a little more towards sanity. There's a long way to go.
How can we get the corporations out of that prison system though and back into the state's hands?
Take their money away.
Is there any way to do that?
Well,
I mean,
we've got to, as a legislature, we need to start holding the Department of Corrections accountable.
Right.
I mean, that's
My
really the
follow-up
reality.
question, please.
Angela, I'm going to give you the last question, but Patricia has been trying to ask the question. So Patricia.
So, back to the reason why the people end up in prison all the time. The lack of transportation, mass transit in a city this size. If you live on the north side, you can get a job on the south side, you have no way to get there.
Right.
And on Sunday, the
Correct.
bus doesn't run.
Right.
What do you have in mind for, giving us at least mass transit? I mean, what
Department of
time you wanna drive?
Transportation.
Right. Well, that's more of a,
But the connection is, those girls end up back in prison because
Right.
they can get a job at Sonic, but
Right.
they can't get there.
well, and frankly, the transportation issue also is an issue for mentally ill. I have a friend that was going through a lot of problems, young friend, and when I saw what he had to do in order to get to the doctor or get to the Department of, get housing.
Kids to your mother to keep while you go to
Oh
work.
my Lord, no, it's humongous.
Yeah.
So, but transportation really is more of a local issue.
Well, I think you need some mass transit.
Okay,
Big
some money.
I mean,
Well,
you need it has to work. It's not gonna. They can't get to work if they can't.
I
don't have a
agree.
car.
Well, and again, if that's not just the working poor, that's mental health. Transportation is a huge issue, so I agree.
In a city this size.
I agree. I don't have an answer for you, but I do agree that it's an issue that should be addressed. Absolutely. So I definitely see the need.
Angela?
I had a follow-up on
Yeah.
the female incarceration. We're actually number one in the world for female incarceration. I'm not
Yes.
for sure if you're aware of
Yes.
that.
Yeah, oh, I am. Yeah,
All
I
right.
was just trying to be,
All right, well,
I was
my
just trying-
question.
Yeah.
My question, Brenda Golden's running for District 16. She's a
Right.
Creek woman, has worked for the Creek Nation and has worked to reduce female incarceration. Would you be open to working with a panel of people to reduce the female incarceration group? There's one being drawn up from what I understand.
right.
Would you be open to doing that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one, you can't go into any elected position, city, state, national, whatever, without working with other people.
Of course.
And other people that sometimes have different letters after their name.
Well,
than
thank you
do.
for your speech. I know a lot of people have to go. It really
Yeah.
resonated with me, and I think you should consider governor in the future.
I don't know. We'll see. I just
Well
want to
done.
get past this. How about we just get past this?
Thank you very much. Before we adjourn, Joe Quinn, our Tulsa Democratic Party chair, needs to say something.
Okay,
our job, or my job, Greg's job, Elizabeth's